We welcome in now on the KRDO Newsline, Stephen P. Tryon. He's an Army veteran, political servant, highly successful exec, author of a new book called Accountability Citizenship. Mr. Tryon, great to have you on the program. We appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you for having me on. It's always great to talk about accountability citizenship.
Well, you know, I want to get into the concept of this, and this is perfect timing as we look at the rollout with what's happening with Obamacare and the government in general at this point. People are feeling a lot of frustration with what's going on at the federal level. Is that part of why you wrote Accountability Citizenship?
Well, you know, at the end of my Army career, I served in the Senate as a fellow for Senator Max Cleland. And when he went into his last reelection campaign, some of the advertisements against him really rubbed me the wrong way. To take a veteran and honorable man and to characterize him in the way he was characterized in that election struck me as just taking partisanship too far.
Well, and
Well, go ahead.
Oh, is that one of the reasons that Americans aren't voting like they used to? Is this they're turned off by all the negative advertising?
Well, that's what got me into the project. And then as I looked at it, what I've concluded is that the way we market and distribute information has changed radically over the last 50 years. I mean, just think about it. We've deregulated cable television. We've deregulated radio.
Yes. And
from 1972, you know, when we deregulated cable television, through to today, I mean, we've had this huge explosion of information technology. You know, in 1972, I was 11 years old, and personal computers didn't exist.
Right.
I mean, the computers took up the whole room if you had access to a computer. So we've radically changed the way we market and distribute information. And of course, a democracy and a republic, the lifeblood of a democracy and a republic is information. It always has been. It's just that for the first couple of centuries of our country, it was mostly through newspapers, which were subscription-based and aligned with Congress, with congressional districts. And that's not the way we distribute and market information now.
No, it's much more complicated, isn't it?
Well, and when you know, I work for an internet retailer, Overstock.com, so I know a bit about how you build websites and things like that based on your consumer psychology to get the best result from them. And so as I put all that together, I realized that the way we market and distribute information today actually discourages effective citizenship, because the right, you know, to sell information, you're going to coalesce, the stories are going to coalesce around the things I call 5 myths. And they're not 100% false. They're definitely not 100% true, but they're presented as if they're 100% true. And people buy into them, and that's where you get this discouragement that you talked about. That's a long answer to your question, but that's where that discouragement, and that's why I believe we have a public approval rating for Congress of 9% now, which makes my heart sick as a veteran.
I certainly understand that. One of my contentions is, Stephen, that Americans at this point are much more interested in voting for who wins American Idol than they are who represents them in Congress.
Well, and again, I don't want to blame anyone for this. That's part of the one of the myths is the conspiracy myth. We like to blame groups of people for things. What I'm proposing in accountability citizenship is that our society has evolved in a way that we have not adapted to, and so now we need to wake up and we need to adapt to it. And accountability citizenship, the book, is a toolkit, a simple toolkit for effective information age citizenship.
And as we move forward, the last question we have for you this morning, we appreciate you taking the time because it's so important. It just seems like, reading what you have put out, just a small amount of Americans are voting, and then they send people to Washington or to the state legislature. These people are making decisions that affect all of our lives.
Well, yeah, I think that when you have a minority of people who are participating, then you're going to have people that gravitate towards the polls, and that's going to reinforce this whole business of polarization. And my belief is that if we get everybody back to participating, if we increase participation in our political processes, especially voting, and especially voting for Congress, which is 17% lower on average than the presidential election participation, if we get people involved at that level, then what we're going to find is that there's a wholesome consensus around the center. I mean, we might not agree on all the details, but we agree on things like we want to take care of our families, we want to have safe communities. You know, we agree on a lot of things, and we've got a great country. We just need to get out and vote.
Sometimes I think we agree on more than we disagree on. Appreciate the time, Stephen P. Tryon. The book is called Accountability Citizenship, and thanks for sharing that with us on KRDO's Morning News.
Thanks for having me on. Have a great day.